So I think from both standpoints, Maharashtra is fully prepared for a potential third wave, whether it is pediatric or adult. The healthcare preparedness plan is in place medically, healthcare wise, and administrative wise. In fact, just yesterday, the Honorable Chief Minister had a My Doctor campaign for all the healthcare professionals as well as lay people at large to educate them. So as far as we are concerned, we are ready, but we cannot afford any complacency. We need to be ready because with the festive season coming up, we need to be cautious and careful. And we are particularly worried that even if you have got a single or double dose of vaccine, you still need to mask and follow some COVID appropriate behavior and rules and protocols. And that is mandatory because we are still seeing a spike. After Kerala, Maharashtra is reporting the highest number of cases across India. There are around 4,000 cases. Today, of course, there were 3,500 cases. And there are cities like Mumbai and Thane which have crept up beyond the districts of concern which were there from mainly Nagar and Satara, Sangli, Pune. We are also having these two cities coming up. And you know that Ganesh festival is the largest festival in Mumbai and Maharashtra. And therefore, we need to be extremely cautious and careful. Because last year we saw in the first wave, the largest spike occurred after Ganesh festival. You're absolutely right. We need to continue our vaccination and try to ensure that the second dose is given to as many people as quickly as possible to a large population. From a medical standpoint, our jumbo centers are very much there. We can't falter on our testing front. Our biggest problem is people who are asymptomatic and people who are mildly symptomatic should promptly self-isolate and immediately contact trace their contacts and also self-isolate. And that doesn't occur and then the spread occurs. So that is the first problem which we face. So we need to keep our testing very high. Second problem is this time, unlike last year, we are seeing a large deluge of monsoon-related diseases like dengue, H1N1, influenza, flu-like symptoms, as well as malaria. And therefore, there is a lot of viral fever in the city. And that is confusing. And therefore, because we are in COVID times, we have to test COVID. And many of them are COVID negative. So we need to be cautious and careful for sure. We are definitely much better prepared than what we were in the first or second wave as far as now we are concerned. So I think we are sensitizing doctors. This is a very common fever season and there's a lot of undifferentiated fevers. So they need to be promptly treated. But we still need to do COVID. Independent of whatever it is, do not delay COVID testing. Because we are in COVID times, we have to test for COVID and isolate. Independent of the viral flu, because all viral flus are fast spreading. Our biggest challenge is the Delta variant. And we still have the largest circulating Delta variant in Kerala and Maharashtra. And Delta variant is spreading as fast as chickenpox. And which is why in COVID times, independent of the fever which you have, you must do COVID test. That is what we are re-emphasizing with all our healthcare professionals. Fundamentally, the second dose delay was based on a science fact. Probably there was an availability issue, but that was not the primary reason it was delayed. The studies very clearly concluded that if you delay and defer the second dose, the immune boosting potential is better. So the antibody response is much better, almost to the tune of 80%. If you give a dose within a month, then most of the times you will get around a 65% antibody response. So the delay was basically a so-called deferred heterologous boost. And that boosting, which is called as delayed priming boost, was given for an immunological and scientific reason. So I think now if there is a need, because Kerala is a state which is an exception where there is a lot of COVID in place already, and the second wave is just not seeming to come down. As an exception, the scientific community will look into it and make a decision how to tackle this further. But I think we will have to be very cautious and careful when we make such recommendations. From a science standpoint, there was some logic in delaying the dose. But there has been a lot of flip-flop. Initially, it was 1 month, then it was 2 months, then it was 84 days. So I think there were two things. There was some very sound scientific rationale in delaying the second dose. There is no question asked about it. Now what has happened is we want to complete the 2 doses of vaccines as early as possible. If availability is not an issue, I'm sure the science team of the NTAC will look into this more carefully and cautiously and advise the Honorable High Courts appropriately.